Hello and welcome to this Edexcel GCSE Geography Walking Talking Mock on Rivers, designed to help improve your confidence in reading and answering exam questions so you can get the best possible grade. To start off with, please pause this video and make notes on how best you can use this video, and then press play when you're ready. Let's begin with answering the questions. Remember, it's really important to read all of the information in the whole exam booklet. So question 3, river landscapes and processes. If you answer question 3, which you should do because that's one that we've studied along with coasts, then put a cross in this box. Don't circle it, don't tick it, put a cross in the box. Follow the instructions. River landscapes are constantly being changed by different processes. The first task it gives you is study figure 3 in the resource booklet. So I would advise, before looking at the question, look at the resource. And here we can see we've got figure 3, a diagram showing a stretch of river in Shropshire, England. So rather than a diagram, it's a picture. But what can we see? Well, we can see we've got the bend in the river, the meander. We can see we've got a slip-off slope on the inside of the bend, and we can see we've got a river cliff. We maybe have the floodplain over here, the flat area of land. Okay, so we're starting to think geographically straight away. Going back to the question, it says, identify one landform in the river landscape shown in figure 3. So you've got to refer to something that you can see in figure 3. Identify, just state what it is. Don't need to give reasons for it. Don't need to describe it. It's only worth 1 mark, so it's very basic. And one landform. Okay, so it just needs to be one feature that you can see. One of the things that we've discussed maybe. So pause and have a go now. So you've done the first one, let's move on to the next question. And similar to coasts, what we will find is a number of very sort of short questions before we move on to the longer one. So the next question is state one type of chemical weathering that might have an impact on this river landscape. Again, the command word is state, very, very basic. You only need to give one type of it. It's only worth 1 mark as well, so it's a very short one. And it has to be something to do with chemical weathering, not erosion, not deposition, not biological, not mechanical weathering. It has to be related to chemical weathering, and that might have an impact on this river landscape. So really simple, straightforward, just 2 or 3 words is all you need. Have a go now. Next, we move to an explain type question. Channelisation is an example of hard engineering. That's the background information. Explain one way channelisation helps to manage river landscapes. It's an explain question. We need to give reasons how, why. We need connectives such as this means that, this leads to, this creates, this causes, so that. Okay, so you've got to use the connectives to show that you're explaining. It's worth 2 marks, so you want to describe what channelisation is and then explain how it helps to manage river landscapes. One of the key ways of managing river landscapes is reducing flooding. So what is channelisation? How can it help to manage or reduce flooding or manage the landscapes? Have a go now. So you've had a go at those 3 short questions. Let's just have a look at the mark scheme. And we can see, for the first one, it's really simple, 1 mark for any of the following. So you could have had river cliff, slip-off slope, meander, floodplain, all the things we spoke about there, really simple. It may be worth, as you go through and mark your answers, could you write the alternatives that you could have given as well to show there is more than one correct answer. For the chemical weathering question, again, notice how simple and straightforward it is, just stating what they are. So it may be acid rain, or it could be solution weathering, the actual rocks being dissolved by the water in the river or from the rainfall as well. And then finally, for the shorter questions on this, this is the explain one, and we can see here, award 1 mark for the point about channelisation, describing what it is, and then how it protects river landscapes. And we can see here, making the channel wider or deeper, increasing the capacity of the river. That's it. only worth 2 marks. If it was worth 3 marks, which it's unlikely to do in this section, but you may need to say, therefore reducing the risks of flooding. Okay, but we keep these answers really simple so we can keep an eye on the time. 2 marks, 2 minutes. The final question in both rivers and coasts will be an examine style question, and it will be relating to a resource. So if you've watched the coasts video, you will already know what you need to do. But first of all, it says study figure 4. So before we look at the question, let's have a look at figure 4. And what we can see is this block diagram. And what information we have here? Well, we can see we've got this flat area of land, we've got these steeper slopes either side of it. This flat area of land is called the floodplain. And we can see from the scale that we've got here, the floodplain is 100 meters long. We can see we've got the north arrow. Okay, so that might help us to say which direction the river is flowing and which way the river is eroding, if it's lateral erosion. We can also see we've got meanders and oxbow lakes on the floodplain here, and we can see that we've got, as well as the river, we've got these features on the inside of the river bend. So let's go and look at the question. Examine how physical processes work together in the formation of the oxbow lake shown in figure 4. So examine. This means to explain and give evidence from the resource to back up your answer. We're looking at the physical processes. So we've got to think what physical processes are involved in the formation of floodplains, meanders and oxbow lakes, and how they work together to form it here. We need to relate to figure 4 as well, so the information we've just discussed, you need to include your answer. As we saw with coasts, what I've tried to do is break down the key information that you would need. We've got the understanding seen here, the AO3, and the assessment objective 4, the application of it. So what information have we got from the resource? So we know that meanders and oxbow lakes formed by erosion, transportation and deposition on a floodplain. We know where the fastest flow and what that leads to, what the slowest flow leads to. We mentioned the key terms, lateral erosion. We've then discussed how the oxbow lakes actually form. And here we can see the information, the river flowing from north to south. It's 100 meters wide. The oxbow lake is to the west of the channel. So really simple and straightforward, but the key is not to separate it up, but actually to put the information from the resource and embed it into your answer so it makes sense. And it's also important to look at the mark scheme and remember that these are not marked in the same way as the shorter questions. These are level marked. And what they're looking at doing is not looking for individual points and adding them all up, but it's looking to see, have you got the key information and have you made these logical connections? Have you explained them clearly? Okay, and if we're looking at the top marks here, then we need to see that it's well balanced, that you've got all of the information and not focus too much on just one thing, and that it's supported by the evidence throughout, and you've got the evidence by using your geographical skills from the resource that was given to you. So what you need to do, we'll put the question back on screen. You've got 8 marks. Now it's normally sort of a minute a mark or so, but because we've got a large number of shorter state and identify questions, if you answer them more quickly, you might have around 10 minutes to be able to answer this question. So have a go now. So now you've had a go at your answer, let's have a look at the marks and what they've said. And as you can see, this is slightly more detailed than the earlier slide that I put up with the key information. But have a read through your answer. Have you talked about the physical processes? Have you talked about erosion, where that happens and why that happens? Have you talked about deposition? And have you actually talked about the oxbow lake and how that is created? And also, have you included the information from the resource to back up your answer? Remember, you don't need to necessarily include all of this and all of this, but you need to make sure that you've got coherent and full answer which explains and answers the question. Remember, with all of these, it's really important that you do make corrections as you go through and also add other information that you could have added. If there's anything that you struggled with, then that would mean that you need to go back, look over your notes and the resources and revision guides and just revise it so you've got a better understanding and so you've got a better chance in the exam. Thanks very much for watching. I hope it's been useful. See you again soon. Bye.